Hello and welcome to another episode of the Bonus Points podcast. I'm Joe Garrett, as always being joined by Ollie Guy.
Hello.
Hello, Ollie. We're in, I'd say, better spirits in this episode than last episode.
It's been a slog the last few. Last time was...
Last time was Alpha Protocol.
Yes, and then before that we had World of Goo. Was that before that?
Yeah, they were back
Which
to
wasn't
back.
like... World of Goo wasn't horrible, but...
No, but I think it...
wasn't as good as we wanted it to be.
No,
Yeah.
no. And then Alpha Protocol was...
Oh...
Well, stop. And I know there was some comments, kind of people
There was a
defending
monstrous
it.
comment. There was a really long comment that was like, basically we did everything wrong.
Yeah, and then there was another one which was kind of saying about how, like, until Baldur's Gate 3 there hadn't been another game. And it's true, but it's sort of... It's like say if someone like did a really like complicated, amazing method for making a cake. Yeah. And it's like, oh, no one's ever mixed the dough like this before. And it's like, yeah, but if the cake doesn't taste nice, it doesn't matter. You know, it's like Willy Wonka's chocolate factory, and it's like, oh, and it's mixed by waterfall the chocolate. It's like, well, if the chocolate doesn't taste nice,
there's
it doesn't
no
matter.
point. There's no point doing it.
Yeah. And so, but I think we did get around to talking about what we appreciated about Alpha Protocol.
Yeah, what on paper was good.
Yeah.
The ideas were good.
What on screen wasn't.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, so I guess, that was last week's episode. If you haven't listened to it, I think it is still an interesting conversation and it is still a fascinating game just to look back at the development and the history of it. So if you haven't listened to it... It's
Obsidian. Who've just released Avowed. And that game's great.
Yeah.
So...
Wish we did that.
Yeah.
But do you want to talk about what we're going to be speaking about in this podcast?
Yes, we're going to be speaking about the very long titled game, Dragon Quest Heroes Rocket Slime. And I'm going to quickly read the Wikipedia entry. So Dragon Quest Heroes Rocket Slime is an action-adventure game developed by Tosei and published by Square Enix for the Nintendo DS. It is a sequel to Slime Mori Mori for the Game Boy Advance. It was first released in Japan and later in North America. It is a spin-off of the Dragon Quest series. That's it.
And so this is very much a you pick.
Yeah, it was because it was my birthday, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was my birthday on Wednesday.
But you make it as if I wouldn't have let you on one.
Every year, in the history of the show, when you look back, I always pick something around my birthday that I'm like, oh, I really want to do that.
Did I do one for me? Do you remember?
You're not as joyful as me, so you might try to punish yourself.
I think I just do my games whenever I want. Yeah. It's like, doing Hollow Knight, want to do Hollow Knight. Yeah, doing Prey, want to do Prey.
Last year we did Like a Dragon over my birthday.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I've been on a Dragon Quest kick since playing Dragon Quest 3 HD that released last year in November. So I had that. Then I also recently got a 2DS. So this was a DS game, so I was like, great. Mm-hmm. Also, I wanted to do a DS game for the show because
I thought you got the 2DS for this.
No, I got 2DS for Dragon Quest 9.
Okay.
And then I was like, well, I'm not going to make you play that because that's like a full-blown JRPG. But this is like a little fun kind of side game that I did actually play a little bit of in the pandemic. But like most things in the pandemic, I'd forgotten everything. And in my mind, it was more like Mousetrap. It was like you set up different things to like knock the enemy onto the cart.
Okay.
Which like you can kind of see why I would think it was like that.
There's elements of that.
I don't think when I originally played it, I ever got to a tank battle. Because I also played it on a PC. So I was like just messing around with it. And I was like, oh, it's really nice, but yeah, put it down.
Yeah, so my expectations going in is I'd seen like I think you're showing me a screenshot of it just to be like, no, honestly, look, it looks good. Look at the art. It's kind of just to like, come, I think you were expecting me to throw my toys out the pram.
Maybe a little bit.
When you suggested it. And so I'd seen that, but I was still expecting it to be more of an RPG. I knew it was like, obviously Rocket Slime. I knew it was going to be, like, I knew it was like an offshoot of the Dragon Quest. Yeah. So I thought it was going to be different to like a traditional JRPG, but I was still much more expecting that. And I was pleasantly surprised
of course,
that it wasn't. I was like, it's very active gameplay. I thought it was going to be more turn-based. I thought I was going to probably like the gameplay and put up with the dialogue, where to be honest, I loved the story and the dialogue.
It's really funny.
It's just such a good vibe. It's good times playing this game, isn't it?
It's very breezy. It's very easy to play.
And I learned there's a bit early on in the game where in the story it's like these group of like almost like kid slimes or creatures, they go off and they're going to blow this horn, which belongs to the king. And then suddenly the king is coming and they're not meant to have the horn. So they just like shove it in your mouth.
Yeah.
And then you're a slime, but in like the shape of it. And I was like, this kid, that's funny.
Yeah.
And then you get control and you're like bouncing around in the shape of like this horn. And I was like, oh, you know what? I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good. Like after that moment, I was like, okay, I'm in safe hands.
Yeah. We should actually quickly describe what the gameplay actually is like. So it kind of is split into, I would say, not really thirds, but kind of like two big sections and a very small section. So you have the first big section, which is you run around the levels and you're rescuing your slime friends. There's 100 slimes to rescue. They're usually in boxes. Sometimes they're behind boss battles. You basically rescue them and you throw them on a train car. So every level has a train running through it. You throw them on, you throw enemies onto it. Anything you want to take back to town, you throw onto the train car and it drives off. That's one part. Then the other part is tank battles, which is sounds very different to that. I mean, basically, you kind of have, because you've got the two views on the DS, you have like the inside of the tank, which is you running around doing different things.
Just to be clear, the tanks are like the size of a building.
Yeah. They're huge. Yeah. They're absolutely massive. So, but then on the top screen, you have that full view of like the actual whole tank battle. And they're like huge skyscrapers almost. And then the other part of the town is it kind of has this like other part of the game is as this kind of little town sort of building bit that's like very light touch. Like you kind of unlock things in the town as
it's
you
kind
go.
of like just a hub area that you return back to, and then it gradually, like the more slimes you have, it gradually
the town
unlocks.
gets,
and then there's like shops there, and that's where you can go and like change what ammo your tank has or what your crew is, or save your game. And also just all of the slimes you rescue appear there. It's almost a bit like the new Astrobot game, for those that played that.
Yeah, it's
where
like
you
that,
rescue the bots and then you go back and you see them hanging around.
Yes, it is like that. I didn't think about that. But yeah, also the enemies that you pull back. If you bring in enemies back, they'll start to hang out there.
Yeah.
For some reason,
they
like you now.
Yeah, they're just fine. That kind of confused me a little bit.
So what I think about this game is that it kind of has all the things I like about Dragon Quest, or have recently found that I enjoyed about it, but like turned up to 11. So it's like visually, it looks really good. Like really, like it looks like a really expensive game. Like it's really like luxurious, like Dragon Quest is. And the writing is like really funny.
Yeah.
And like really charming. And the puns are like, but it's like everything's really extreme. Like it's all really extreme versions of what I like about the main series.
And like so there's a twist at the end, I guess, spoilers, but like for a lot of it, you think like the main antagonist is the Plob father.
Yeah.
And it's like the Godfather. And he like spits out like a slime and then like puts out his cigar on them and like brings them back, and it's like so, and there's like, you have to rescue the crackpot, which is like a crackpot to do that with. It's like, it's so like, it's almost Stampy level silly for like some of the stupid like puns and alliteration and stuff. And then some weirdly few like adult humor bits kind of thrown in, but like cheek, like
you wouldn't know if you wouldn't like if you didn't know, you don't know.
Like sort of the thing that SpongeBob would sometimes sprinkle in or something.
You should mention him.
Oh yeah. Like there's like a nun, and there's one that's like really obsessed with her, and it's almost like, oh, she wasn't a nun. Like there's a few things like that, which is like it's almost fun. It's funny because it's in that game and because it is such a childish game.
Yeah,
like that wouldn't really be funny otherwise, but it's kind of funny that they snuck it in.
And the pun level is like, it's unbelievable. I don't think there's a single line in the game that doesn't have a pun in it. Like even the credits are like a squiscient producer for like the assistant producer and stuff like that.
And all of like the levels, the stages are like,
Call My Bluff was a good one.
We all like the bluff of like a mountain. Yeah.
My actual I'm playing Dragon Quest 9 at the moment on the DS. Actually, a few people commented, said that was their first Dragon Quest game as well. That's got a character in it who's like an explorer, but every time you find him, he's like laying down, and his name's Christopher Collapsus. I was like, that's my favourite. That is so good. That is so good. So anyway, that's kind of the main part of the game. The other thing which we didn't mention is you have something called the Elasto Blast, which is like you hold down a button and then you can stretch the slime, and when you let go of him, he's kind of like a rubber band, will fire in the direction, which at first I was like, oh, this feels a little bit awkward. But then literally within 5 minutes, I was like blasting everywhere, using it as a speed boost. To, like,
and that's like the main thing you do. So to fight enemies, that's what you do, is you bang into them. But then when you hit into them, like anything in the world, like barrels or chests or enemies, they get launched in the air, and then you kind of need to run underneath them to catch them on your head, and then you can catch like up to 3 things on your head. And if it's an enemy, you could use it to bring them back to your base, or if it's a slime you're rescuing, or something that you want to use as like there's a bomb, and then you can just cycle through. So you have 3 things, and you just press R to cycle through the 3 things that you have in your head. It's got the Metal Gear Solid 5, like falconing.
Oh, falconing, yeah. It's like that, yeah.
You get these little wings, and really on the big enemies, it does it because it's like so like struggles to lift them, then goes whoop, just like it to like send things straight back to the
that's
base.
funny because I've been playing Dragon Quest series, like I recognize a lot of the things that cross over. So in the main series, there's a thing called a Chimera Wing that you use to travel back to town. And that's what that is. And it makes the same noise. It goes like ring, ring, when like you fire off like exactly the same. And the crackpot is also how you craft stuff in the main series. So like when it was like you need to rescue the crackpot, I was like, oh, I know what that is. Like I know where I'm going.
That's cool. Because it fits in so naturally. Like I wouldn't have, like as someone who hasn't played, apart from the little bit of Dragon Quest 3, haven't played Dragon Quest. Like I never felt like I was missing out on things because of it. It was quite self-contained.
Yeah. So yeah, that's the main bit. And then I guess to go a bit deeper into the tank battles, because they take up a surprising amount of time in the game.
Yeah, especially later on, you often do some quite close together.
Yeah, I've done like 6 in a row. It's just like, oh god. It's basically what you're doing is when you're inside your tank, you have your crew that you can like give tactics to, so you can kind of tell them, oh, I want you to load the top gun, I want you to load the bottom gun, I want you to go to the other tank or whatever else. And then you're kind of, all the stuff you've collected, you're throwing it in the guns, and it's being fired across the top screen and hitting the other tank if everything's going well. But they can fire back, and if 2 objects collide in the air, then they both just fail. Most of the time. There's a few exceptions to the rule, but mostly that's what they're doing. And I like it on paper, and I think it's a very... Like, if me and you played versus against each other, it would be absolutely insane, because it does have versus.
There is, I was going to say, there is versus.
But I don't feel like the AI is ever smart enough to need as much depth. It has so much depth of like, you can have any crew formation, you can tell them to do anything, you can craft new stuff to use, like you can sneak over to the other side and smash up their tank, you can come back, you can turn invisible. There's like,
there's all like, you can fire like a mirror shield, you can fire their things back. If you there's like some arrows that have a number above them, and if you like hold 3 of them at the same time, they power up to a more powerful one.
And then it's like, you can send one of your guys over there to steal their ammo and bring it back. Like as if they've got something particularly good. But really, all you need to do is just attack as fast as you can. And that's kind of 99% of the time. That I think I had to change tactic once.
Not only that, I also found that so you're trying to get, so you have the health of your tank and their tank.
Yeah.
And basically when it reaches 0, it opens up a door where you can go and like destroy their heart or like their engine to win. And so that's what so if you get your health down to 0, you don't lose immediately. But what it does mean is all of their little dudes will try and get to your base. But like you're like a wrecking crew by yourself. So sometimes I realize on some of the later fights, they'd like do something. I was like, oh, they did loads of damage. Like they've got me down to 0.
Yeah.
And then I'd see like them coming over, and I'd just like keep killing them. And because they're so they stop firing anything. So I leave my crew just attacking. And I just like kill them as they come past, and then theirs goes down to 0. Then I like spawn kill them for a bit, and then go and destroy that. And I realized, like even on the final boss, like that always works.
Definitely on the final boss. I did the same thing.
Because a lot of the like there's a guy there's like a recurring like your nemesis almost. You got Slival that you keep fighting, and I realized because he's always, you fight him on his own.
He's useless.
So you just go in and you just keep attacking him in his base. Just keep him busy fighting you, and your dude's just destroy. He's like the easiest one to fight.
And he's like got his like power up move that like looks really cool. He never hits you. Yeah, like, he's literally can't.
And also you can hit him and he bounces back.
Yeah,
and then you can time it so the second you can, like he's like flashing like he's invulnerable.
Yeah.
Then the second he's out of it, you just hit him again.
It got even easier when I unlocked the item that's like the knight, and you can like put him on your back and swing his sword. Yeah. So then I would just go over to the other side and just like literally use his sword to like cut through the engine room like really quickly, or like just cut the enemies back when they're coming in. So I think if like, it's just a shame that there's so much there and you just don't need it. Like I really think if we were playing against each other, which we could do, it would be like way different to...
Yeah, I think the structure of both the tank battles and how it fits into the whole game is like brilliant. Like, especially
it's really clever.
Because like earlier on, because like I'm collecting like so I'd open a chest and a bunch of money would come out, and I'd be like, for ages I had no use for money, so I was like, okay, I've got money, I'm sure it'll come into play. And then it was also like, oh, I can throw the chest onto the cart and it will go back, and I'm like, but why do I need it? And they never tell you why you need it. So I'm just collecting just stuff in levels.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's like, you collected this, this, and this. And I'm like, okay, why? And then I do the tab, and then it's suddenly a case of like, oh, like I'm in levels. I'm like, yeah, I want to try and complete the level, and I'm just looking for stuff. I'm like, and because then you get to craft things, and so there's some stuff which like the chest is like rubbish as a weapon, but sometimes you need to use 5 chests and something else to craft something. So now I'm looking for chests, and like
it's pretty clever.
Everything becomes valuable, and rescuing people means you can add them to your crew, and then even in the battles themselves, the way it works on the DS with the top and bottom screen.
It's genius, isn't it?
It's so good.
It's literally
so
so
you
good.
always see the big tanks at the top, and then you throw in like your missile or whatever, and then you see it firing across, and then you jump in the cannon and almost like Sea of Thieves style, fire yourself, and you see a little dude going across, but then you hit something, and you see yourself falling, and then you land like on the bottom screen.
It's very, very clever.
Oh, it's probably the best use of like dual screens.
Oh yeah.
From any game I've played, like DS, Wii U, whatever. Like, also, it's so good.
The other thing is with the tank battles is I really like the designs of the tanks.
Yeah, they're
like,
cool.
I was recognizing. I mean, obviously I've been playing the game, so I was recognizing ones that were just giant enemies from the game.
Yeah,
that was really cool. But like, my favorite one was the guy with the bow and arrow, which they made into a big tank. I don't know if you remember. I think you only fight it once.
Okay.
And then also the one that looks like a chest with the like tongue coming out.
Yeah,
so good.
There was one who was like with like these rabbity things. It was like carrots or something.
Oh, yeah, you can like fire the carrot off of its of its nose. And inside, if you go inside their tank, there's like one big red button, and it's like you can only use this once.
Yeah.
When you slam into it, the cannon carrot thing fires off.
Yeah. And some of them are like, there's one that has like an axe, and so a lot of some of them have. I think this summer it could have been better, but there was a bit of variety in terms of them. Most of them have almost the exact same layout.
Yeah.
And I wonder if that's because in multiplayer you can pick one.
Tank,
so it probably has to balance that way. But sometimes like when you have to go and destroy the engine, you always have to like break your way through like these barriers for a bit. And like sometimes that is slightly different. But it would be cool if they were vastly different. Well, not vastly different, but if there was more variation, because they always had the same layout. And it also, they were kind of held back because you'd always go and fight in their base, and there'd be things like, oh, you can destroy the computer to open the door, or destroy this, and it means their things come out on fire. But then you always end up kind of fighting them in their cannon room, and then you're always just kind of knocking them off the screen. And there was a lot
throwing stuff down the stairs.
Yeah, there's a lot of me waiting charged, looking at the edge of the screen, waiting for them to appear, and then I just knock them off the screen again.
Imagine going up the stairs and seeing the slime's face like charged, like waiting, just stretched back. It's so funny.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's just a like it's just because the screens don't scroll in there, it's just a limitation. Because I didn't realize, because this is like a sequel to a Game Boy Advance game.
Yes, this Slime Mori Mori is the series, and the weird thing about the series is that all 3 of the games are the same. They're all reboots. So the first game is the exact same. So like you're saving 100 slimes from the Quadfather, but there's no tank battles. And the second one
that's weird.
Yeah, so the second one, they obviously the designs of the levels aren't identical, but they're mostly the same. And
I saw it's a different story, because I looked at the game. It's like there's different enemies and stuff.
Yeah, but it's just saving 100 slimes, and then the third one is the same again, but you have a pirate ship instead of a tank. And that one's in 3D.
Oh,
so your sprite is still 2D, and it's based on the map of Dragon Quest 3. So it's a huge map rather than but it's like 100 slimes. You have a tank, you have a ship, and you fight.
Yeah, because I looked the Game Boy Advance one. I was amazed. Like it's so like the art is obviously the same art.
Yeah,
it's obviously they, obviously when they did the original illustrations, it was higher resolution, and then they pixelate it for Game Boy Advance, but also the same music and sound effects.
Yeah.
Because we haven't spoken about the sound effect. It just sounds like someone's using a soundboard. You're just playing, and suddenly like someone go like, "Oh yeah," and it's just like this.
I actually love that.
There's so many just weird like little noises that they play in just different scenarios, and it literally sounds. You remember those old machines? You know, these little like soundboard
like
things,
talk box thing.
Yeah, and it sounds like would just come in at different times. It's so funny. But I was like, like, oh, that makes sense because that's about as you could do on the Game Boy Advance.
Yeah.
You know, so it kind of made sense. But it was using all this, a lot of the same music and sound effects as the DS one.
The like, oh yeah, like that's a great sound effect. Like when you save a slime, it like bounces out the chest. It goes like, oh yeah. It's like, this is great. It's so funny. It's so funny. But yeah, generally tank battles, I think, better on paper probably than in.
Yeah, better like the.
I was done with them before the game was done.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. I think at first I was really into them. I mean, I was just so impressed by like the way they done the dual screen and like the gradual escalation of the depth. At first, you can have more ammo, then you can customize the crew, and then you can craft your own ammo. And you know, I spent a lot of time on the ammo screen, like planning combinations. Like, okay, I want a lot of shields because I was like, I always try and send several shields, and then I go afterwards, so I don't get knocked down. And I enjoy that. But then once I kind of realized that I didn't need to do that, I was just sort of like, oh, you know what? Because I'm always like, oh, when do I bother going back to the town to switch it? And I was like, you know, it doesn't matter. Like, I know I can cheese and win anyway. It doesn't actually really matter. And so, you know, I know I'm kind of almost robbing myself of fun there, but you know, that's kind of how it, you know, with the balancing, it the way it ended. But like you said, I think a human opponent completely fixes that.
Yeah, it does.
You know, we wouldn't keep just banging our head against the wall. That was the definition of insanity is how the AI plays.
Also, I'm assuming that so Dragon Quest is absolutely massive in Japan, and the DS was absolutely massive in Japan. So I'm assuming they thought people were going to play multiplayer together much more than I would expect in the UK, that we'd be like, you'd find someone else with this game and play.
I think
I just can't imagine that. But in like in Japan, the Dragon Quest is like one of their biggest series, and like Dragon Quest 3, the one they just remade, is like, you know, it's like Star Wars for them. Like it sells like millions of copies every single time. And the other thing I've noticed is with the series is that their spin-offs are always pretty good. They have a pretty good hit rate. Like Dragon Quest Builders was pretty good.
Yeah, I played that.
And then they did a Musou Dynasty Warriors type game, but also had RPG elements. That was also pretty good. I've played that one. So generally, I think the Dragon Quest series is pretty amazing. I'm having a really weird time with it, like, because it really reminds me of when I first got into Resident Evil, and there was already 5 of them out, and I played it. And I was like, oh my god, there's 4 more of these. I can go back and play them. I've had the same thing with Dragon Quest, where I'm like, oh my god, there's 100 of them.
The person who I recommend a TV show to, and you go, "Oh, there's 2 seasons,
Yeah.
too many," and
true.
you just don't even bother watching. I don't know how you're doing it.
That's
well, I
true.
mean, like I know I always go on about it, so maybe it's similar in that way as well. But it's like me from Software.
Yeah,
I played Elden Ring, and I was like, "Oh my god, this is my favorite game ever!" And it's like, "Oh, they've made loads of them."
Yeah,
you know, I played through
yeah.
the Dark Souls trilogy and Demon Souls and Sekiro and Bloodborne. You know, like it's just great.
It's so good.
When you discover something new that you love, that you either assumed you wouldn't like or just never gave a solid chance to. It's good. I feel happy for you.
And all the games are so easygoing. Like they're all so breezy. Like I usually play them before bed. So I did the same with this, where like half an hour before bed I'd play a little bit of Rocket Slime. Yeah.
So I know obviously because it's a spin-off and different gameplay style might be difficult, but like in terms of the Dragon Quest games you've played, like is this up there as one of the best ones, or is it? Or is it not?
I think from the spin-offs, I've only played.
No, I mean compared to like the regular series as well.
So I've played 11, 9, 3.
Oh, sorry. First of all, you said I've played 11.
No. I've played 11, 9, and 3 of the main series, and I don't know if it's as good. I don't think any of the spin-offs are as good as the main series.
Is it just because is it just different scale?
It's just different, yeah. But like the things that I like about it are the same in the main series, so it's like.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know, it's just such a nice atmosphere. Like, it's a really nice time to spend your gaming. It's like, okay, you've had a stressful day at work, go and play like literally something that is engineered to be lovely.
And it's like and it's just like, it's so easy. Like you're constantly getting like these things that power up to give you more hearts.
Seed of life, yeah.
They could not give you any. It was so rare.
I had like 20 hearts by the end.
But like, how often were you like, did you ever lose 2 hearts on a normal level?
Yeah, true. I don't think I even died.
No.
I did lose 1 tank battle.
Okay.
Because I didn't pump any extra life into my. Basically, what you should do with this game is, if you're going to play through it, is like play through to the end and then go back and get the slimes that you missed. Whereas I was trying to do 100% completion of an area, so I was going up against tanks at like 3 times the amount of health that I had, and I only had like chests and pellets to fire at it. So I lost one of those. But then that's when I lost my save file as well. When I went back and did it again, I skipped all those and then came back when I finished the game and I had like 1,000 HP and I was just absolutely crushing everyone.
So did you do much? Because I saw there is some like end game content. So there's like a Master Swords challenge or something.
Yeah, there is. Yeah. So basically, what you need to do is when you finish the game, you can find Slival again in one of the levels. I can't remember where he is, and you beat him, and he's basically like his tank's got 3,000 HP as well when you fight him, which is just mad. And then he's basically like, oh, there's this like cannon thing at the end of town, and then you get into that cannon, and it fires you into tank battles that are like way higher level than what you would. But I was done with the tank battles by the time again because it asks you to get all 100 slimes, and some of them are behind tank battles. It's like you're doing 6 in a row at some points, and they might only have 250 HP, but you end up in a stalemate.
Yeah, you're often just blocking. Each other.
Yeah, which can be quite annoying.
And then there is other stuff just in the town. Like there's a museum where it's basically if you've brought back a certain number of a monster, there's like a statue
Did you do any
of
those?
them. I don't think so. I always, once I saw that was there, I always was like, I'm going to bring all the monsters home.
Yeah, the little the main duck things. Like there's hundreds of those.
Yeah, I probably got. I mean, but you need quite a few of each one.
30.
Yeah, 30.
It's insane. When you hear what it unlocks, when you unlock a monster, they can then join your crew. So that's why the crew's got loads of question marks. But it's like, why do I need to get 30? Like, make it 5 or 10. Like, you don't need.
Yeah, because that's the thing when it said 30. Because there's some enemies that's like you only encounter in this area on this level. So it's like you just doing the thing where you enter the screen, throw them on, leave. Enter the screen, throw them on, leave. Like it's not a challenge to get them. It's just endurance, I guess. But there's it's. For those, maybe in the PvP, there's like one enemy that's OP, and like really they're the meta, is to go and get this weird enemy.
There's also that really random surfing minigame, which is like I think they just added it because they wanted to have the download play because you can send it to someone's DS. So basically, Dragon Quest series and Nintendo are like hand in hand. Like they do a lot of stuff that uses like Nintendo technology, or they do things that Nintendo are then inspired by. So there was a game called Dragon Quest Swords that came out, which they reference actually in this. There's a tank called DQ Swords, which was a motion-controlled TV game. And then when Nintendo got their hands on that, they were like, obviously they were already thinking about the Wii, but they were like, oh, this actually was working. And in Dragon Quest 9, there's something called, I think it's called Street Tag, but it's on the regular DS. But if you pass someone else that has Dragon Quest 9, it will send each other treasure maps.
Nintendo just ripping off.
And they were like, we could do that. And they actually said in their... In one of the higher up in Nintendo's biographies, like, oh yeah, the street tag thing in Dragon Quest 9 was so popular that we copied it for the 3DS.
Yeah.
So anyway, I think they just wanted download play for that random surfing minigame.
It's quite fun.
It's quite fun. I did it enough times to I beat the record because I was like, I want to see if I unlock something.
There's also a few moments in the main game which becomes more of like an action game. Like there's some of the bosses which kind of scrap the normal mechanics and it's more of a traditional boss fight. There's in like the last level, there's like mechs that you find and you knock them out and then you're like this big mech punching your way through spikes.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that bit.
Yeah.
There's a lot of variety in the levels considering how little mechanics there actually are. There's a lot of variety. And they kind of play around with this idea of like certain things you carry can do something. But I don't really feel like they do it enough. Like you can pick up like a cat toy. And the cat enemies will follow you. Yeah. But it's the only one that does. It's the only thing that does that.
I assume that would be for like in a tank battle. It would be good if you're fighting cats, I guess. But you never really need to. And there's a lot of things like there's levels where like there's like these elastic band things.
And the bungees.
And you like blast into them and you go, you bounce along them and stuff. Like I found there's a lot of times I get into an area like that and I'd look at it and be like, oh, this looks like quite a complex area. And I'm like, oh no, there's just one path round. It always
most of the areas are like that.
It's very simple. And then some very light Metroidvania stuff where like you run into crystals that you can't break yet. And so you need to power up. And then also really nice checkpointing, whereas you're going through levels, you kind of find like these magic wells. And once you've gone through them once, it takes you back to the beginning of the level. And then now you can go back and forth between them. Like that was always my go. Anytime I found one of them, I was like, I'm going to go back and save. Because you said your game crashed once. And so that scared me. So I saved a lot more since then. I'd always go back and save.
Yeah, I lost two and a half hours. But the fact that I got back to where I was, I think says a lot about the game. But when you know what you're doing as well, when it comes to those complicated areas, if you know how to get through them, it's a bit...
And it is also worth mentioning we weren't playing on official copies of the game, so that we were playing the game.
Use your imagination.
Yeah. We wanted to. There wasn't a reasonable way to do it. We would have happily downloaded it on an eShop or something. But so that might be why it crashed. So
I should think so.
Yeah, because and I had no issues, no performance issues. The game looks amazing because I always find I think the DS and the 3DS are in the worst position for graphics where they're too high res to look like pixel art.
Yep.
And they're too low res to look like nice. They're like in that, especially, but mostly in 3D games, to be honest. Yep. Whereas I feel like I actually think the Game Boy Advance game of this looks a little bit nicer. I prefer the DS one, like the dual screen one, and being able to see, in widescreen. I'm sure I'd much have preferred this one, but I really love Game Boy Advance graphics. That level of fine pixel art. I think is one of my favorite 2D art styles. And I always think the DS kind of falls into like an ugly middle ground.
Well, I mean,
but this game, I think the 2D art and sprites is probably about as good as a DS game.
There's a bit near the beginning where you walk across water, and I was like, God, the water looks amazing. Like it's sparkling, rippling when you're walking through it, and it's just like a puddle on the floor. It just looks so
and a lot of like just motion in the levels, a lot of things moving around, and like.
Well, slime's a good thing to animate as well, right?
Yeah. and there's a lot of chaos because there's a lot of time you're banging in and it's like enemies born like bouncing off each other, hitting off walls and bouncing back, and like it's just a intentionally like chaotic style. Like even if you're trying to be really accurate and good, it's just like stupid stuff happens and you're banging into each other. And like, if you like. You're carrying this thing on your head, which is like a 1 ton weight or whatever, or a 10 ton weight, and then you get knocked, it falls, and then it bounces everyone up and stuff.
Or if you're throwing something in the tank, like in the gun, but you accidentally catch one of your crewmates, and they go like, whoa, and fly in the gun.
Or you're walking past, and they throw something, and they knock you in. You're like...
and you get a little message from them being like...
I'm like, Mother Gluperia, what did you do?
And she's saying like, this must be one of the tests of my religion, flying through the air. It's so funny.
I liked that chaotic vibe.
Yeah, definitely. There was the guy in the tank, Hooli. I don't know if you used him.
Is that the big guy?
No, he's like the guy with like the squid tentacles underneath, and he like goes into the other tank. He's one of the first guys you get.
Oh yeah, he can either throw into the tank or he can go and sabotage.
Yeah. And he'd always be like, nobody messes with Hooli, and then like 2 seconds later the thing would pop up like Hooli's waiting to be resurrected.
Yeah, I never used them to.
Did you not use any of the?
Not to send across.
Oh no,
because they're too. Because like if I go there, I'm the equivalent of like 5 NPCs. So if I send just him, I really just. Eventually got to like, I just want them throwing as much stuff in the tank, and I'm going to run around and do everything else.
I ended up mostly going with one guy throwing in the top gun, one guy throwing in the bottom gun, one guy being sent over there to do something, and I would just load both the cannons. But then I did unlock a guy that just continuously heals you, and that seemed very overpowered.
Yeah, the nun, she could heal you.
But there was like a guy there's a guy who can heal the tank. And he just sings. Sings. And it's just
I saw. See, but it once again goes back to, it's a bit of an older game, and it's like it'd be hard to balance this. But like once I realized that there was 0 chance of me losing with that strategy, I was doing so many tank battles in a row. I was like, all I care about is destroying their tank as fast as possible. I don't care all about defense or I don't care about healing my tank. In fact, the quicker they damage my tank, the quicker I know I'll win, because they're all suddenly going to get blindsided at running to the engine and I can kill them. I'd actually win quicker if they destroyed my tank.
I think the only thing I paid attention to really was if they fired a shield. That was the beginning and end of my strategy was, is there a shield in the air? Don't fire at it. That's kind of it really, isn't it?
Yeah. And it's a shame because at the beginning I was trying to be really strategic and I did enjoy it more. But they're generally quick enough that even when I was kind of done with them, it wasn't like one showed up and I'm like, oh, here we go. Like, I was like, okay, like we'll do another one. Like, there'll probably be some funny dialogue around it at least.
I think the problem is with the tank battles being so simple, it kind of makes quite a lot of the rest of the game very inconsequential. It's like, once you've got enough ammo to fill your slots, I didn't really feel like I needed to pick up any more because I'm already winning. I didn't really need to craft anything because I'm already winning. Because I don't need to craft anything, it means I pick up less stuff, and it all kind of snowballs. I mean, I had a great time with the game and it was really good, but the tank battles being the main focus of the game, and like they're not that good. It was like a bit of a misfire, no pun intended, but like, yeah, I don't know. I think that and the other thing which just really annoyed me, which might just be me, but like getting the letters.
Yeah.
Why is it so slow and so rubbish? Like,
I would wait. So basically, once you rescue a slime, as soon as like the moment they leave the screen, it pops up that you got a letter from them.
Yeah.
Which was kind of nice because I'd always be like, oh, I've sent them on the cart, but sometimes they're going to move for a while. I'm like, if I leave screen, are they going to actually go? So I would always just wait till the letter pops up. And then you'd have to go up the menu, go to the letter tab, go through
animated tabs. Like
you read through what they say, and then they're giving you a present and stuff. And it just breaks up because you find them. There's 100. You find them at a rapid pace, and so I'd always be like, you know what, I'm going to wait until I've done 5 and then go through them all together.
Yeah, same.
That's the way I did it. It was
still annoying though. Still annoying.
Even with the good dialogue. Another little quality of life thing is. So you're finding this ammo, and then you could also craft better ammo. And to craft the better ammo, you would often use the lower level of the ammo. So you have like a low-level missile, and you can make a powerful missile. But obviously, you put all of your stuff in your tank, and so if you're going to craft it, it won't include that.
Yeah.
So every time I'm going to craft, I'd always have to go and like remove all my ammo.
Yeah.
And then it'd be like, okay, we'll just put in these pellets. Yeah, put in these pellets because you can't have nothing.
Yeah.
And
Even if you're like, no, I don't want the pellets, it just puts you back to the menu.
I
know.
You
have to take the pellets.
It's like, I don't want the pellets. It's like, I'm not going to go to fight. I'm just going to go next door to the tent to craft something and come back. And so then you'd have to go and then, because otherwise you can't see what you have to craft out of it. Then you would craft what you need and then go back in. And then obviously you're doing all of your ammo again. A minor thing, but something you have to do pretty repeatedly in the game. It would be nice if they let you, if there was just a better way to do that.
yeah, I completely agree. I think also another thing that, obviously a little bit armchair developer here, but if they were to make another one, I think I'd like to see more things that you could kind of mix on your head. So like, imagine if you had like wood and then you picked up fire and it made like a bigger fire. Like just stuff like that, because if they do it with the cat toy and they do it with the knight, things you can kind of use. It would be nice if there was like more of that rather than having to go and craft it in a... Like imagine if you were in your tank in a battle and you were crafting bombs by like combining stuff.
Yeah,
that would be really
it's
fun.
mostly just the ones that power up if you have a bunch of the same.
Yeah.
And then the knight, I know you mentioned it earlier as well. Basically, it's quite a unique one where it's just this little, almost like a doll of a knight you put on your head, and then you can press Y and it just attacks like an action game. Yeah, like a little sword just swipes. And you can use that in the levels just to like hit enemies. And then also you could use it, to go to their base and attack with this little knight. And that was just quite a unique one. And in the level you use it to like get past cobwebs, I think.
Yeah, the animation's really good as well. The cobweb getting sliced.
Yeah, and I like when you get stuck in a cobweb as well, and you've got to like hold down, you're like stretching out, and you like pig across the level.
Yeah, I mean all of the everything about the game is charming.
Yeah.
It's all completely turned up to 11. Really super, like amazing animations, locations, great variety of locations. Considering we were doing is walking from town, you end up like in a Zeppelin or like in some sort of space airship fighting like robots that are like firing lasers. It's like burning the floor. Like they get a lot of mileage out of the Dragon Quest kind of franchise, I guess. So yeah. Pretty good. Have you got any other negatives while we're here?
No, I think I've probably gone through all of the ones.
It feels a bit mean, doesn't it? Because it's such a nice game. It feels a bit mean.
Well, I think that the fact is like that there are these negatives. The fact that everything's about the tank battles, even the levels that when you're not in a tank battle, it's about gathering things for the tank. And even though the tank battles, if I eventually I saw past the edges, but I still have really positive vibes. Like, because it's such a charming and lovely game, like, I think you are extra forgiving. Like, if this was trying to be like some dark, grungy, serious game, it would be, I think those problems would stand out, but it was like a good time. It's like playing, if you play a bad co-op game with a mate. You have a good time.
You have a good time,
because you're with a mate, because good vibes anyway. It doesn't matter if like the game's a bit rubbish. Not that I'm saying this is rubbish, but you forgive it, and I think that's where this game is for me.
Right, well, I think we're done then.
Do we have any questions?
We got a few comments. Kieran5476 and Aurora Animates said they love Dragon Quest and the DS titles in particular. And Hey Hello said they played Dragon Quest on the 3DS and got stuck in the starting area and never made it out. And mate, play it again now. These games are easy. You
We're
will find
starting at the town.
well, not this particular game, but
Oh, okay.
play it again now. Now a few years have passed. These games are pretty breezy, so you should be able to find your way now.
Yeah. And if you're stuck,
Just
look
use
it
a
up.
guide.
Look it up. Look it up.
Yeah, use a guide. But yeah, that was it really. Oh, and also I forgot to mention. I'll probably put it at text at the beginning. This is the first time we've ever had someone else record our gameplay. So Blake in the community recorded all of the DS gameplay for us. So thank you to them.
Yeah. And has also, I believe, played every game
Yeah,
we've done on the
they have,
podcast.
yeah.
Dedicate. And now has proof.
Yeah. And they finished it really quick as well. Really, really fast. I think their game time was like 5 hours.
Didn't you say they were like really into it?
Yeah, they liked it. Yeah.
Yeah.
They liked it.
Cool. Awesome. Right. So shall we put it on the list?
Yeah. Let's
Put
do
it on
it.
the list.
Did you know we have a Patreon? Maybe you're unsure what that is.
Patreon allows you to support us directly, and in return you get exclusive stuff. Access to our Discord server, behind the scenes content, and an exclusive podcast series.
Your support means we can up our production and continue making fun videos. You can join us at patreon.com/the bonus points. And it has a free trial too.
Woohoo!
Right. So have you got anything else you want to move before we do this?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah,
Alright, fair
there's
enough.
nothing that I'm going in with.
Fair enough. Okay, so Dragon Quest Heroes Rocket Slime. I think this is one of those tricky games that's like, it's pretty good, but at the same time, it can't hang with the top 10. But it's like, it is really good. We had this before with a few other games that are like, oh, they just completely nail what they're doing. Good Boy Galaxy maybe might be a similar kind of vibe.
Yeah, that's not bad, because I think that was a slightly flawed game as well.
Yeah.
But was also a joy.
That was actually Blake who recorded the footage for us. He said if he was to put it on the list, he would put it somewhere near Good Boy Galaxy.
Okay.
So I think that's quite a good comparison. But
do you know what I think this game will do? I think this game might be a grower on the list.
I think so as
because
well.
it's such happy vibes, but we will gradually forget about all the little nitpicks.
The tag battles, we'll gradually forget about 50% of it.
We will forget about the little annoyances,
Yeah.
and we'll just remember the good
To be
stuff.
honest, the only annoyances is the tank battles. And do you know what?
But that's like the...
I know, but like...
You know, I really love the FIFA games apart from that football. It really drags those games down.
No, it's more like, I really like the FIFA games, but I don't like the second half of every match. I only like the first half.
I just like setting up all of the team and then I quit. Play Football Manager.
Yeah, I think...
So Good Boy Galaxy is 39.
It's got to be higher than that. It's got to be high. I mean, in terms of like the pure joy level I got from playing it.
Yeah.
Okay, if I was rating it on pure joy, I would be up probably near GTA 5.
Okay, but
Like, we got to start somewhere.
I know, but it's like, if we're going to rate it on how slimy it is, I think, it's like, let me just come up with an arbitrary way of deciding it.
But it's
And
a joyous
so-
game. It's a joyous game.
It is. But it's like, well, it's more joyous than The Last of Us. So, like, it's, it means nothing.
My personal enjoyment.
Yeah.
Like, do you remember when we did GTA 5 and I was like, this game is amazing. I can't believe it existed. I never even played it.
Yeah.
In terms of the happiness that I had playing this game for 2 weeks, I would put Rocket Slime up near that. I mean, but the problem is it's not as good as Titanfall 2, is it? So it's like...
Yeah, so you're looking higher than I was thinking.
To be honest, I would struggle to put it in the top 25, even though it is so lovely and fun. It's just really difficult.
I'm thinking, what about, you might find this too low. What about like 36, 37-ish? So around Alan Wake Skate area, under Driver San Francisco. That was, that always ends up being my buffer, Driver San Francisco.
You'd put it lower than Harold Halibut?
Where's Harold Halibut?
31.
I think he's too high. Is he too high?
Maybe. He's quite high. I mean, we were really wowed by the graphics of them. And the story turned out to actually be quite touching. But there was a lot of running around in that game, wasn't there?
I like it. I'm not saying it's bad.
Running into that door that didn't open in time, so you'd like smack your head on it every time you ran.
It's just, he's up there with like Killer 7 and Outer Wilds and stuff.
Yeah. Okay, maybe he can move. Should we move him down first?
Yeah, let's put him down to... I think he should be under Indica.
Oh, so not a big move.
No, I don't know if you want to go lower. I'm just looking. I mean, Dead Rising, you're more hot on than me. I wouldn't want him... Actually, yeah, I'd like him under Driver San Francisco if you don't mind. Don't want to be so polite.
Yeah, where? Oh no, I'm confused now. That was 35, wasn't it? So that would make Harold Halibut 36.
Yeah, if you're happy with that.
Above Alan Wake?
Yeah, above Alan Wake 1.
And Skate? That seems...
Should Skate be above Alan Wake?
Yes. God, this is getting really fiddly. Let me zoom in on this.
Do you remember 3 minutes ago when you were like, is there anything you want to move? And I was like, no.
Okay, Skate goes above Alan Wake.
Okay.
Harold Halibut
goes under... is he going to go between them?
I would put Harold Halibut... To be honest, I would put Harold Halibut probably one above Ooblets, one below Good Boy Galaxy.
See, I'd rather put him above Jet Set Radio, but that's...
Okay, well, let's put him down there for now, and then move everything else.
Okay.
God, what a mess
we will, for audio listeners, we will... There's no point bringing you up to speed yet. We'll let you know how this is settled, because things are... It's the slimes. Everything's slipping all over the place.
Slipping around. Wait, where's World of Goo, actually, speaking of slime?
That's much lower than that.
Oh, 71. God, we were harsh on that. Okay, so maybe Dragon Quest Rocket Slime could go at 31 now, because that's now open.
What happened? So it's a 31. So what happened to not above Driver San Francisco, which is at 35?
Don't know about that. We could move that up.
I always want to move that up, but that is my one that I always bring up is I want Driver up higher.
Driver's good. We can move Driver up.
Okay. Should we put Driver up above everything? Up above Rocket Slime? So it's Driver's 31, Rocket Slime's 32. Wait, Rocket Slime's above What Remains of Edith Finch.
Yeah, do you know what? What Remains of Edith Finch, the further I get from it, the more I think it's quite silly.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I just didn't really... I don't know. It's just that thing where I feel like... I mean, I said it in the episode where, like, it's really not as clever as I think it thinks it is. And a lot of the like little stories are just a bit like...
I think I'm a sucker for, like, variety in gameplay. That's why I love, like... It's why, like, It Takes Two is one of my favorite games.
Yeah.
And I love every time you're going in, it's like, you're almost like a different medium you're playing. Yeah. You know, obviously it's a game, it's interactive. But, like, I think I rate it really highly because of that. But I think there's people, probably some listening to this podcast, that really love Edith Finch and have it.
Well, I mean, it was a community voted episode,
yeah, of course. So yeah, I don't think I'm among those for the level of appreciation, but I did enjoy it. But tell you what, let's switch it with Indica though. I'd have Indica above it if you're okay with that.
Above Edith Finch?
Yeah.
Yeah, Indica was cool, wasn't it?
Yeah, then Indica against Rocket Slime's a new face-off.
Well, I think Rocket Slime's better than Indica.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can live with that.
Okay, there we go then.
So the area now that we've jumbled up is 31 Driver San Francisco, 32 Dragon Quest Rocket Slime, 33 Indica, 34 What Remains of Edith Finch, 35 Dead Rising, I'll keep going because these have all moved, 36 Escape, 37 Alan Wake, 38 Harold Halibut, and then 39 Jet Set Radio Future.
Yeah, and then Good Boy Galaxies, that's where we started.
Yeah.
Talking about this.
41 Ooblets, 42 Driver. Maybe we do that for episode 100. We read all
out
of
the whole
them.
list.
Yeah, we all...
Mate, episode 100... Well, if we do end up going through with our plan of moving some stuff around, there's some stuff that's got moved on here. There is some real...
Go on, you can bring one up if there's one you have at mind already.
Probably Mr. Driller.
You think that's too low?
I think that was a good variety, like you just said you like. Also, really joyful game. Breezy.
Where is it?
42. It's like a perfect puzzle game. When we talked about it, we didn't have any flaws of it other than the multiplayer music was bad.
Yeah, but no flaws doesn't mean
it
perfect.
Should.
You know,
it should.
There's like someone can, you know, to go back to my cake analogy, someone can make a slice of bread, which is perfect, and someone could make a giant 5-tier cake with a different flavor on each one that's perfect. You know, like there's different ambition and scale, you know, like it's I think like a simpler a game it's easier to have no flaws. Like that's true. I'm sure I could find more flaws with The Last of Us or Death Stranding than I could Mr. Driller. Yeah, doesn't mean it's better necessarily. I'm labouring my point.
You are.
Labouring my
Sounds
point.
like you're trying to convince yourself that actually you think Mr. Driller should move up.
I think it should move down. That's what I'm convinced.
But I think the funny thing is, though, just not to go on too much of a tangent, is that Kuru another game that doesn't really have a flaw, is a puzzle game, but we put it much lower down than Mr. Driller.
No, I think it does.
No.
I
What's the flaw of it then?
I think the flaw is is that in the main levels, the difficulty comes more from the length of the level without checkpoints rather than what you're doing is difficult. And it becomes more about do something consistently. It's always like if you're playing Guitar Hero and it's like don't make a mistake through the whole song, but you're playing an easy song.
Yeah,
that's less fun to me than playing a hard song where you can't make a few mistakes. So
I thought you were going to be like you're playing Guitar Hero and you're making a cake.
And you're playing Cake Hero.
Anyway, that's it. It's on. The list has been fixed.
Yeah, 32 for a DS Dragon Quest game.
Mate, well now we've potentially got, if Blake doesn't mind recording for us, we've got Dragon Quest DS games are now on the table.
And then what would be your next one?
Ooh, I feel like I've always felt like the Project Rob series has an injustice. Because I feel people are so put off by it, which is fair enough. The box art is alarming, but actually, it's a really fun game, and it has loads of variety.
Yeah, and it's a nostalgia one from us.
It's a nostalgia, yeah. DS launch game that was. I got it the day the DS came out.
Yeah, I remember you excitedly showing it to me.
Yeah, so that, and then you didn't have a DS, did you?
No, I most of my DS experiences from you.
Oh, okay. Like me telling you about it.
Well, no, you showing me whatever. Like I don't think. No, I think James Beerley had one and stuff. So
name drop.
Childhood friend. He's not famous.
No.
I think Brad Pitt had one, didn't he? Brad Pitt used to have one.
Beyonce had one. They used to have the advert. Do you remember? She played Nintendogs. She's playing Nintendogs.
She loves Nintendogs. Yeah, her and Taylor always playing.
God. No, I don't know what else I'd pick. DS. Like,
I think I'd do Pokemon Soul Silver would be a good one.
Oh no. Anyway, do you want to hear what's coming out?
Love to.
So next time we have Fear on the 21st of March. Available on the Xbox, any Xbox, as long as you have the disc. You have to have the disc, otherwise you can't play it.
Is there a disc?
Yes.
Dance Dance Revolution. Why is that in here?
That was my personal copy. Sorry about that. So then after that we have, this is going to be a weird one, Natsumon 20th Century Summer Kid on the 4th of April. I really hope there is a Switch 2. Because I've got to play it on the Switch.
I don't think there will.
You're
not going to have one.
No,
not even the scalpers will have them by that time. It is on PC as well and runs well on Steam Deck.
Oh, lucky you.
So your PC would run it better than your Switch.
I don't know about that.
Really? Is your Switch more powerful than your PC?
Probably. And then the final one we've got listed is Dead Island 2 on the 18th of April, which is on Game Pass.
Completely forgot about that.
Yeah, but that's what we got lined up. So we need to plan some more games. DS games, maybe.
Possibly.
Well, actually, just quickly before we wrap up, how's it been with your DS the last few days?
Oh, it's great, isn't it?
It's a really good console.
Oh, I had the same thought when I had a week playing the Vita. I've done a few games on the Vita, but Ridge Racer was... There's another world where the trajectory for handheld games kept in the Vita 3DS direction, where smaller devices without a fan, like passively cooled, so lower power, lower draw, better battery life with a smaller battery.
Yeah.
And like I want the modern version of that. The modern version of that is your phone. So it's not like it's not like a case of, obviously with something like this, the Switch and the Steam Deck with a fan, it's going to be more powerful. But then if it's more powerful, you need a bigger battery and blah, blah, blah. And everything gets bigger. There could be a handheld that goes in that same direction of what they used to be. Like basically from the Game Boy, like keep following that trajectory.
Especially with Nintendo having home console and portables. And that was kind of their thing. And now they just have one. Which, like, look, it makes sense. And the Switch is a great console. I completely get it, but I do understand what you're saying. Like,
yeah, I want to know if all of the investment was done into that. Like, obviously, it's going to be less powerful. Like, if you don't have a fan in there or whatever, it's going to be less powerful. But I'm not saying instead of the Steam Deck or like the ROG Ally, whatever, all those ones. You know, like I just say like I want the equivalent of that, and it probably is your phone with things strapped on the side of it. But that's not what I want. I want a console.
Yeah, I've been loving having so I got 2DS. From community member, who was it? Danzy. I called out for one, and they sold me one. It has been.
You snap your fingers.
Yes,
it did. Like, yes, Ollie. Yes, Ollie.
It was delivered to me on a velvet pillow. Interesting. Didn't see us back even walking out the room backwards. But no, it was. It's lovely to have a DS. It's like really, and not just for nostalgic reasons either. Like The 3DS is a really good console. Like even the home menu and everything
Just
is like
fold it up, throw it in your bag. Don't have to worry about a case or the screen scratching or anything.
Yeah. It's also like it's in really good nick, I think, because it closes. So it's like always protected. Didn't do much actually poking of the screen.
But you don't need to.
Yeah, I know, but a lot of games I feel like the further on the DS got, the less kind of pokey.
Yeah, that's for the best, isn't it?
Best, yeah.
You know, how many times on the Switch are you using motion controls or like the little IR sensor?
Mate, Dragon Quest 9, if you want, you can play the whole thing with a stylus. And I started doing it, I was like, this is rubbish. Like you hold the stylus, he runs towards it, and he like tap on people to speak to them. I was like, this is.
I remember playing the beginning of that Uncharted game on the Vita when the Vita was new.
What was that one called?
Golden Abyss.
Golden Abyss.
Is that what it's called?
That was called that. Yeah.
And it's trying to use every gimmick of the Vita, which was
like
full of gimmicks.
Backpack to like open something.
Yeah, and you're like you're balancing with the touch, and it's like the sniper. You can do touch screen or something. It's
just like a real sniper rifle. Touch screen.
It's so bad. And I just feel sorry. I can't remember what team made it. It wasn't Naughty Dog, but I feel sorry for them because that's obviously Sony coming down.
Yeah.
Or it's not as bad as the Halo game when they remade Halo 1, and they were like, you have to use Kinect. And so
I didn't know about that.
So you have to. So you can use Kinect on it. Do you know what it does? You're playing.
Do you say like throw a grenade or
you
something?
You go like reload. It's slow. How long does it take to say reload compared to? There's a button for it. If we were saying reload with our voice the whole time, and they were like, we've added a button, you'll be like, great.
I don't have to say it anymore.
Imagine playing in bed with your girlfriend asleep. You're like, reload.
I'm not that anyway.
Teabag. Oh man.
So on that note, that teabag note, shall we end the show?
Yeah, let's get out of here. So once again, congratulations to Rocket Slime, Dragon Quest Rocket Slime, for getting to 32 on the list.
Not bad.
Little overachiever, that little guy, I reckon. We'll be back in 2 weeks' time to discuss Fear. Kind of appropriate timing with, like, sad appropriate timing.
Oh, yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah, for those that don't know, the development studio Monolith has just kind of gone out of business. It's just been shut down by NetEase. So, it's kind of, I guess it's a nice time to, I guess, pay tribute to probably one of their best games in their catalogue.
For sure.
So, definitely join us for that one. Play along if you can. It's on PC as well. It's probably the easiest way for most people to play it.
Yeah, I've actually got it on Steam, but I'm not. I'm not doing that. I don't know if it's got some sort of Xbox boost. It probably does. FPS maybe.
Yep, it does.
Oh,
it does.
Sweet.
Right. Cheers for watching, everyone, and we'll see you next week or next episode.
Cheers, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.